Today on our 2018 Jeep Cherokee, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Demco Tablas baseplate kit, part number DM9519307. This is what our baseplate looks like when it's installed. It's going to be one of 5 main components in a plateau setup. The other 4 are going to be your braking system, your tow bar, safety cables, and your lighting. This baseplate is going to be custom fit, hidden reinforcement design that's going to mount directly to the chassis so less of the bracket shows. And it's going to maintain that nice clean look. When you're not towing the vehicle, the baseplate's also going to come with nice caps. It's going to help keep any dirt and debris from getting inside. With this baseplate, it's going to be a tabless design, which means that your tabs or your removable arms are going to be mounted to the tow bar. Unlike some of the other ones, where you have a removable arm that you have to add to your base plate and then you put your tow bar onto the removable arm. With this one, it's going to make for a much quicker hookup between your vehicle and your RV. This is what the tab or removable arm, if you will, looks like. This is going to come with your base plate kit. However, this gets mounted directly to the tow bar, so you're not going to have to worry about misplacing this or having an extra part to hook up to the base plate. Now let me show you how it actually works while it's on the tow bar. So this is with it mounted to the tow bar. You can see we have it a swivel. So what we're going to do is we're going to just slide it in. We're going to twist. We're going to line up the holes with the holes on the side of the base plate. Then you're going to add your clip. That's going to hold your tow bar in place. This base plate is going to come with hardware. It's going to work with most Demco and Roadmaster tow bars. If you have another type of tow bar, it may require another adapter, which is sold separately. It's a pretty straightforward installation. It's going to come with all the necessary hardware, along with detailed instructions. It can be done in your garage with normal tools. The only 2 tools that are going to be required to get this installation done is going to be a torque wrench and a rivet gun. The only trimming that's going to be required for this base plate is right here on the fascia. Unlike some of the other ones that are going to require you to trim the air dam. As far as drilling goes, the only drilling that is required for this base plate is going to be to remove the 2 rivets on each side of the vehicle to take the fascia off. Some of the other base plates may require you to drill holes into the bumper beam. This base plate is also going to come with its own tube of Loctite, which is necessary for all the hardware to get installed. Unlike any of the other base plate kits, you have to go out and purchase that extra part. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let me show you how to get it installed. First thing we need to do to start our installation is you have this panel here. Underneath your hood, you're going to have some pushpin fasteners. We need to remove this panel. Take a flathead screwdriver or trim panel tool like this. There's a little groove right in the edge. You're going to pull up the center. And you want to make sure you pull the base out with it. Just like that. You're going to repeat that with all of your pushpin fasteners to get this panel off. Now we can go ahead and remove the panel. We'll set it aside to be reinstalled later. Next, we're going to have 2 10mm head bolts that we need to remove on each side. You're going to have one right here, and you're going to have one right here. The 10mm socket, go ahead and pull those out. Then we'll have a third one right here that's connecting our front fascia to our fender up here. We're going to have one of those on each side. Use our 10mm socket. Next, we're going to have 9 10mm head bolts that we need to remove our skid plate. We're going to set this aside to be reinstalled later on. We're going to have 3 8mm head bolts we're going to need to remove from the inside of each wheel well. Next, we're going to take a 3/16 drill bit, and in front of each tire on the bottom of the fascia, we're going to have 2 rivets that we need to drill out the center. 2 on the driver's side, 2 on the passenger side. Next thing we need to do, there's a 10mm head bolt is connecting our front fascia to our fender, but it's up inside here. We're going to take this piece right here, and we need to pull it off to about right here. It's going to be hard to see, but what we're going to do is we need to pull back our fender liner. On the inside, let me get one off real quick and I'll show you. There's little tabs. You don't want to break them because that's what holds it in. If you reach in there, you can push on that to release it, and you'll have another one right here in the back. We'll have one more up here towards the top, and then you're going to have connectors right here. They're a little bit different. So what we're going to do, we're going to reach up, and you'll feel a little round end where you want to squeeze the ends to push that out. So if you see these, if they come out like that, that's all right. We're going to spin them around on the side of each one. If you push in, you'll be able to pull it out through the hole. What you want to try not to do is try not to break that. If you look right here on this piece, this is going to slide it into it. You just slide it in like that. Your 10mm head bolt is going to be right here. We'll just take the socket. Go ahead and remove that. You're going to do that on each side of the vehicle. Now that we've removed our 10mm bolt from each side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape, and it's completely up to you. I'm going to tape this edge and then this edge of my front fascia. Because we're going to be going off and on, we're going to be moving the fascia around a lot. We don't want to take a chance of scratching this up. You can use any kind of tape. Painter's tape is what I'm using here, as long as you can get it to stick. Something like that. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now with an extra set of hands, we'll go ahead and remove our front fascia. We're going to start from the outside, work our way to the middle. Keep in mind, if you have fog lights or anything like that, those will need to be unplugged as you're taking the fascia off. You're going to grab it and start pulling out. And right here, we're going to have a plug. And we'll just have, it's a fastener. If you just pull on it, it'll come out. The plug itself, you're just going to push in on the that black tab there. We'll set our fascia aside to be reinstalled later. Next, we'll take a 15mm socket. We're going to remove these 3 bolts holding this on. Then we're going to take a 10mm socket. We're going to remove this nut. Pull these off. These are not going to be reinstalled. We're going to do that same thing to the other side. Then we're going to remove the bottom 2 bolts on the bottom of our bumper beam. These will not be going back in. Just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Now before you install one side of your base plate, you're going to have 2 holes on top that are going to need to be cleaned out. When they put the black powder coat finish on, it gets on the inside of the threads, and you don't want your bolts to cross thread. I'm going to be using a 3/8 by 16 NC tap to tap those out. If you don't have a tap and die set, another way you can do it is you get the bolt that's going to go in that hole, which is going to be this 3/8 by 5 inch hex bolt. Try and find one of the same threads, same thread count, and then you can make your own tap. This isn't the correct bolt, but this is a tap that I made. What you're going to do is you're just going to cut some grooves in it. I usually do about 3, so that when you thread it down in there, all of that paint is going to go down inside of that spot that you cut, and it will open up your threads. You can see some of the dirt and stuff in there from the last time I used it. So we'll just tap these out real quick, get the holes cleaned out. You just want to make sure you're going in straight. Now you want to take your hardware that you're going to be putting in the hole, go ahead and thread it into place and make sure it threads in with your fingers. If you get any hang-ups, go ahead and run your tap back through it again. Next, we're going to take the 3 bolts that we removed down here on the bottom. We're going to set our base plate into place, or one side. You'll know the side because it'll say passenger or driver on it. We're going to line up these top 2 holes, 2 holes in the bottom of your bumper beam. Just like that. thread these back into place. We're just going to loosely install these bolts for now. Just like that. Go ahead and do that on the other side of the vehicle. Next, you're going to have two plates like this. You're going to take one of them, you're going to set it right on top, like that, on the arm for your bumper beam that comes back to your vehicle chassis. You're going to take one of your 5-inch bolts, lock washer, flat washer. In your kit, you're going to have some blue Loctite. You want to make sure you use this on all your hardware. Put on our threads. Get this to where you can see it. We're going to drop it down through the plate. In the holes that we cleaned out, we're going to thread it in. So we'll get that lined up. You don't want to tighten this down too much because you want to get the other one in. Next, we'll take our 10mm bolt, hex bolt, 10mm lock washer, and fender washer. Again, we want to make sure we add Loctite. These are going to replace the two bolts that we took out from the bottom of our bumper beam. And again, we're just going to loosely install these right now. It doesn't say this in your instructions, but we'll go ahead and be safe and do it anyway. We're going to add some Loctite to these factory bolts that we took out here. We're just going to put a little bit on there. It's better to be safe than sorry. We don't want the bolts backing out while your car is being pulled behind your RV. Next thing we want to do is these top two bolts. We're going to tighten them just enough to pull this up flush against the bottom of our bumper beam. We don't want to tighten them all the way though, because there is a sequence we're going to have to tighten all of our bolts in. We also want to alternate this. So now we're going to tighten all of our bolts in the sequence per the instructions. We're going to start with our bottom three. Then we're going to go to these two here. And then we'll go to our top two. Next, we're going to torque all of our hardware to the specifications and the instructions. Again, you want to make sure you're torquing them in the sequence that we tightened them. Next, we need to install our safety cables. Since this base plate doesn't have a crossbar, we need to find a secure place to wrap it. We don't want to go up over top the bumper beam here. So this brace that runs all the way across the bottom of the vehicle is part of the frame. We just want to make sure that we're not going to be rubbing on any hoses, any pipes or anything like that. So what we'll do is once we get it installed here, we'll throw a couple zip ties on it and zip tie it up out of the way. We're going to go around like this way, back behind this cross piece here. We're going to come back up. We're going to put a quick link right through that hole. Take the other end and we'll close it up. We'll just take a couple of long zip ties. And I'm going to zip tie it right there like that. That'll keep our chain from moving around all over the place. Cut off the excess for our zip tie here. Now our base plate does come with a bracket for any wiring accessories. Now would be the time to put any additional wiring. Maybe if you're putting a braking system, diode kit in place, now would be the time to do that while you have your fascia off, so you can do all your trimming at one time. Your base plate kit is going to come with a bracket for your wiring. I wouldn't mount that just yet. I like to see what my wiring kit has in it to see which one's going to look better with the vehicle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set my fascia in place loosely so I can cut out for my base plate. Next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut out this plastic piece right here so that our base plate will go through. We'll have to cut out the honeycomb grill on the front, but we need to get through this first. But you notice our wiring, we have an active air dam. We want to try to keep that intact. So we're probably going to have to come over, remove this, come over this way. We'll use a Dremel tool to do it, or a cutting wheel. Problem is, I can't fit it between the light and where I need to cut here and over here because it's too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen it and pull the air dam off just enough that I can twist it and cut it off. So how we're going to do that, take a flathead screwdriver and you'll see there's going to be 3 clips that are holding this on. Push in, just like that. Go ahead and remove them. We'll take 7mm socket. You're going to have a bolt here, you're going to have a bolt down here on the bottom. Go ahead and remove them. I already pulled them off, but if you see these clips right here, if this is up here like this, if you take a small screwdriver and just stick it in the edge, like that, as you're pulling back on it, you can pop that off. And you just work your way down, like that. I'm going to unclip this wire. All it is it slides on to a metal holder there. Pop it off like that, a flathead screwdriver. We'll stick it back on after we're done. I just don't want to take a chance of cutting it. I'll swire out loose like this. Now I can turn this however I need to and get that cut out. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this out. Just like that. I'm just going to use a rotary tool with a cutting blade. You can use a Dremel tool with a cutting blade if you got one. You can use a knife if you want. It may take a little bit to get through it, but it will go through. You can see these little fins in here. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut them just about in half to get this out. Now I've temporarily set my fascia back in place and I went ahead and cut out around my base plate. It makes it easier, you can cut out this whole honeycomb section. I chose to cut around the base plate just to maintain that factory look as much as possible. Once you've added any of your wiring accessories and your braking system, you're going to go ahead and put your fascia back on in reverse order from the way you took it off. That'll do it for a look at and installation on the Demco Tablas baseplate kit, part number DM9519307 on our 2018 Jeep Cherokee.